Hello, friends, and welcome to the very first whatever worship of 2022. You know, when I was originally planning what this time that we're going to spend in Epiphany, which begins next week, was going to be like, I felt joyful and expectant and excited. And then we moved into Christmas and into this space where the world around us, even though we were living in the time where we're told we're supposed to be excited and joyful and cheerful, well, it just felt dark and it felt full of worry and anxiety and frustration. So if you're coming today to this space of worship with the burdens of anxiety, of worry, of frustration, of sadness, of anger on your heart, I want you to know that you're not alone, that it's okay to feel like we're moving into 2022 as just yet another extension of the dumpster fire that 2020 felt like, that 2021 carried on. You're not alone. Not only because so many of us in this world feel the same way as you, but also because that's actually the point of Christmastide. That even though the light came into the world, and we celebrate that, it didn't fix everything. That God's kingdom, well, it has already begun. It's not yet fully realized. And so in this space today, I want you to feel free to lament, to raise up the worries and the fears and the anxieties and the sadnesses and the anger that might be on your heart. And to hear this scripture today, to listen to this message. And maybe like those who have taught us how holy lament is, that in our lament, we also might be able to see the good news of that light that came into the world at Christmas.
In the beginning, darkness covered the earth. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw that the light was good. The true light, which gives light to everyone, came into the world. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness cannot overcome it. It is a light for the lost, the searching and the seeking. A light for the darkest valley. A light to drive out fear, even in the shadow of death. When we believe in the light, we become children of the light. It shines in us, through us. If we walk in the light, if we let it shine before others, we become a city on a hill. The light of the world. When we let His word light our path, others will follow. We become a beacon of hope to a world in darkness. Our lives reflect the glory of His resurrection. He makes us a light for the nations, so His salvation may reach to the end of the earth. Let there be light. For at one time you were darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of light.
The light shines in the darkness, the gospel writer tells us. What has come into being in him was life, and the life was the light of all people. The light shines in the darkness. I don't know about you, but for me, this gospel seems really hard right now. I don't feel the light. I don't feel that life. All I feel right now is darkness. On Thursday, as I was leaving the church to go home, I received an alert from the Virginia Department of Health. Maybe you've seen it too. It said that Virginia hospitals are becoming so overwhelmed. It urged people to reserve hospitals for emergencies. Now, we don't live in a world where we often have to triage ourselves before we head to an ER, but if you're wondering, an emergency, defined by most insurance companies, is a threat to life, limbs, or eyes. Now, most of us, thank goodness, have been to an ER outside of those types of situations, but right now, the Virginia Department of Health needs us to ask ourselves if we are having an actual emergency before we go in. You know, I went most of the pandemic without knowing very many people who had actually caught COVID. I know that smacks of privilege, but literally I could name on two hands the people I personally knew who had COVID since March 2020. But that changed right before this Christmas. All of a sudden, everyone I knew, it seemed, was positive. I mean, everyone. Indoor Christmas Eve services and family get-togethers, this exasperated those numbers. And this week has felt, I don't know, impossible. I know churches that were adamant that they would worship like usual for Christmas Eve and who are now online only this week. And so when I received that alert from the Virginia Department of Health, all of the worry, the fear, and the anxiety and the frustration that had been building in me for the last 2 weeks just sort of spilled out. And then I realized through the tears that there was another emotion there lying buried under the anxiety and trying to hide from view. I was angry. I was angry that after months and months of this mess, after an autumn of feeling increasingly more confident that we were moving in the right direction, that vaccines were working, and that people were being smart about gatherings and testing and those sorts of things, that all of a sudden, it felt like we were right back at square one. I was angry that I felt like I had been trying to do the right thing and the safe thing for so long. And now all of that effort didn't seem to amount to even a hill of beans. And I felt angry. I felt angry that our healthcare workers, our public health workers, our essential workers had been working so hard for so long, carrying the burden of healing and fixing and being there when no one else wanted to be, that they were seeing that effort, that time, that amount of caring just dashed apart. I mean, here I am, right? I don't wear a mask for me. I wear a mask for you. I didn't get vaccinated for me. I got vaccinated and boosted for you. I didn't spend months in isolation for me. I did that for you. And it just feels like, it just feels like so many people have forgotten that even though COVID may not be a big deal for them anymore, there are still so many people right now for whom it is still a big deal. I mean, yes, thank God fewer people are dying right now, but friends, people are still dying right here in our own community. And so bubbling up from beneath my own worry and fear and anxiety and deep and profound sadness is also this anger. And I'll tell you what, this anger doesn't feel like a light. It feels a lot more like darkness. Now, today is the second Sunday of Christmastide. It's a time that we associate with joy and festivity and cheer. And for the most part, in the Protestant church, that's how we celebrate Christmastide. But the day after Christmas is also the feast day of Saint Stephen, the martyred saint who was stoned to death for speaking passionately about the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ and ministering to the widows and the orphans. And then on December 28th, we commemorate the very first martyrs of the Christian church, the innocent boys 2 years and younger who lived in the vicinity of Bethlehem, who were slaughtered by a jealous Herod who wanted to keep his Roman guaranteed throne away from some child that people were talking about as the newborn king of the Jews because he wanted to be the king of the Jews. The 12 days of Christmas, they aren't all geese a-laying and maids a-milking. I mean, we all know that when Jesus was born, the whole world wasn't immediately made perfect. I mean, we live out that knowledge every single day of our very human lives in this broken world. But St. Stephen's Day and the commemoration of the holy innocents are supposed to drive this fact home for us. I mean, I guess, well, have you ever lost power and had to light a candle? I lived in Philadelphia after Hurricane Sandy, and we were without power for 5 days. And so I remember lighting a lot of candles. Now, when you light a candle, you get this point of a very bright light. And then you have various degrees of brightness that go out in a circle from that one very bright point until you get to that place where the darkness starts to blend with the brightness, and you can't exactly tell where the light ends and the darkness begins. You know, I think that's where we are. We're in that strange edge light where we can't quite see in front of us, but we also can't not see either. If the candlelight gets stronger, that edge moves further out, and the light gets brighter and brighter, then the edge moves further and further out. And it keeps going. It can feel like we're always chasing that light. And I think right now, I especially feel like I'm chasing the light, turned as I am toward that light because I'm on that edge. I feel like I'm being pushed further away from that light. I wonder though, I wonder if this edge isn't where we're meant to be. What if actually by facing the light we're faced the wrong way? As the light of Christ goes stronger in our lives and in our expressions that become manifest in this world, I wonder if we aren't supposed to be pushed out further into the darkness, living so that we illuminate further and further out as opposed to casting that light that we have back in. What if this edge of darkness isn't darkness creeping in on us, but the light of Christ sending us out into the world again and again, deeper and deeper, to show the world what it means to live as if the light of Christ is inside of us, animating us, causing us to move forward? What if this place of not quite sure and not quite clear and not quite bright is exactly where we are meant to be? Not as a punishment for sin, but because of our baptism, because at our baptism, we receive the light of Christ, and in our new birth, as we put on Christ, we were called to take that light out into the world. What would that change for you? Today is January 2nd, and like so many other Americans, I wonder if you aren't already failing at your New Year's resolutions. I mean, if you even made any at all this year. Did you make any resolutions this year? I mean, all of the television commercials, the ads on Facebook, even those postcard mailers that I'm receiving in the mail are telling me that now is the time for resolutions. It's a new year, so now it's a time for a new you. Usually they're peddling diet plans and supplements, exercise equipment, and gym memberships. One particularly insidious women's magazine cover read, "Lose weight, gain love." The global wellness market is valued at $1.5 trillion and is growing at a rate of 5 to 10% every year. When we spend money on wellness products, we are looking for better health, yes, but according to the marketers, we're also looking for better fitness, better nutrition, better appearance, better sleep, better mindfulness, a better life. And look, I want you to do the things that will make you a healthier person. We should all be eating plenty of fruits and vegetables, moving our bodies several times a week, and having our annual physicals with our primary care physicians. And right now, staying healthy also means we should be wearing masks. We should be getting our COVID vaccine and appropriate boosters. And we should be limiting our contact with others outside of our immediate households. We want to be healthy, but we can do most of those things without pouring $1.5 trillion into doing them. But what if we're chasing more than just health? What if we're chasing the chance to be truly new, to cast all of our old burdens and fears and worries that weigh us down, to move away from the edge of darkness and into the light where everything suddenly seems clear? Are you chasing illumination? Are you chasing the bright light of the candle because being perpetually on the edge of the darkness scares you? The season of Christmastide reminds us that even though the light that came into this world because of Christ, we will still find darkness around us. The massacre of the Holy Innocents shows us this in the most profound way. Matthew chapter 2, verses 16 through 18 is incredibly blunt about this. Reading, when Herod saw that he had been tricked by the Magi, he was seething with rage, and he sent and killed all the children in and around Bethlehem who were 2 years old and under. The gospel writer goes on to quote the prophet Jeremiah. A voice was heard in Ramah, wailing and loud lamentation. Rachel weeping for her children. She refused to be consoled because they are no more. Merry Christmas, we shout. Christ is born, the bells peal. And yet in Ramah, there was wailing and loud lamentation. This year, my Christmas season feels like a season of lament. Maybe yours does too. It is a new year, but friend, you are already a new you. Baptized into Christ, you were born again into the light of Christ, that is life. And while darkness might surround you, instead of running from the darkness or being angry at it, consider this. This is exactly where Christ's light has put you, on the edge of the darkness, so that Christ's light, which is in you, might shine into that darkness, and so that we might see that even though the darkness dances with the light at this edge, the darkness does not overcome it. Through Jesus, God has made you new. Go out into the world and shine your light, facing the darkness, not as something to be feared, but as something to be illuminated by the light within you. By all that you are is the image of God living out of the light of the world that came to be at Christmas. This is the good news. It is a new year. But you're already made new through the God who loves you as you are. Thanks be to God.